This is the SAU Report, a program featuring interviews with the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.
Welcome to the SAU Report. I'm Lisa Stegall.
And I'm Dana Thomas.
With us today is retiring faculty member Calvin Neal. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your educational background, and when did you come to SAU?
I was in high school at Clarendon High School, which is over in eastern Arkansas, a small school. I came to Magnolia at that time, which was Southern State College, 1955.
So you came as a student?
Yes.
So is that strange
Then I went,
for you?
after that, I went to East Texas State for a while, and also to Henderson, where I completed my master's. Went to the University of Arkansas and completed my administrative certification requirements. And I've been back here in the graduate program in counseling.
What kind of degrees are needed for an education ed major, or say you're a professor? What kind of degrees do you have to have?
Well, a public school teacher will have basically a BSc degree with a major in one area and a specialty area if they're elementary, and a supporting field if they're secondary. There are other ways that you might get a licensure in Arkansas, which would be having a degree outside of education and then doing a deficiency removal plan meeting state requirements, and you could be licensure that way. So there's more than one way of being licensure.
Did you always know that you wanted to teach?
No. When I first came here, like most freshmen, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to major in. We came through Emerson, and I saw all those oil wells out there pumping that oil up and down, and I decided I was going to get me some of that black stuff, so I majored in geology and for a little while, and eventually changed into education.
Well, where are you from? Where have you lived? I mean, how did you get to SAU?
Well, I've lived in Clarendon, Arkansas most of my life, and we moved to Oregon for half a year when I was in the 9th grade. And then I've lived here in Magnolia, Hooks, Texas, Arkadelphia, and then back to Magnolia.
So what made you come back to Magnolia?
Job opportunity. I was high school principal at Arkadelphia, and Coach Auburn Smith came by and offered me a coaching job. I was coaching and being an administrator. I thought it'd be neat to coach at college level, so I came here.
Have you enjoyed coaching? Did you enjoy it after you got here?
I enjoy coaching, yes. Now, I coached about 10 years at the college level and 6 years at the high school. I enjoyed it too much. I had an experience, and the Lord kind of put me on the ground. I mean, physically on the ground, and I had to cry out to Him for help. And He spoke to me, not in any loud, booming voice or anything like that, but in my mind, there was the commandment, "Thou shalt have no other God before me." And I didn't know what He was talking about, but I eventually did. And I realized that I had taken something really good, athletics, coaching, and I turned that into my God. And so I gave it up. I promised Him I'd give it up. And I went into the Vice President of Academic Affairs office, Dr. L.A. Logan, and I told him that I had to give up coaching. I did not know of a teaching position here available at that time, but I was going to have to leave since there was nothing here for me to do. And he told me to sit down. He said, "I've been wanting to talk to you about something else anyway." So, see, the Lord already opened the door for me.
Right.
All I had to do was just step through it because I did what He asked me to.
That's great.
But I still love to watch the game, watch the practices, talk to coaches. I just don't coach it.
Now, when you are a teacher, you do tend to take that home with you, don't you? It doesn't actually end at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock.
I found that teaching, you can leave that at school pretty much. Administrative problems, counseling problems, I don't think you can. I'm sure there are some areas of teaching, like special ed, for example, that those teachers perhaps do take those things home with them. And to me, that would be a tremendous tragedy, because you got problems at home too. And when you take those problems, you just double your problems, you know. So I have been able to leave school to school and home and home.
What positions have you held during your career after you?
Well, first year I came, I helped in football, I helped in basketball. Then I just went straight football. I've taught in which at that time was a PE department. Now it's a kinesiology, got scientific on me here. But I've taught courses in that department. Then I became, as I mentioned, assistant to the Vice President of Academic Affairs. And I'd worked there about, I don't know, maybe 6 years, 7. And our registrar left during fall registration. So they moved me to the registrar's office. I stayed there about 7 years. And then Dr. Dale Robbins, there was a job opening in the School of Education. Dr. Dale Robbins allowed me to come over there. And I've been there now about 10 years.
Well, which has been your favorite position that
Where
you've
I
been
am right
in?
now.
Right now.
You betcha. I've got the best of two worlds. I teach the Intro to Education class, which you were part of at one time. And that's where students are coming for their first initial education course. And they do a field experience, which I supervise field experience too. And it's something that gives them a chance to make a decision. And that's fun. And then I also serve as certification officer, and I do the deficiency removal plan program for the school, which is administrative work.
Sorry, what do you like most about teaching?
Teaching the students. Students are the name of the game. You know, to see students be successful is what I like most.
What do you like least about teaching?
To see students who don't try, who aren't really committed, who aren't dedicated to the teaching profession, and they're only just occupying space, killing time, and consequently they don't do well. You know, they don't make it.
I know you've been around a lot of people in your career life and everything. Has there been any people that have really influenced your life?
Well, probably initially would have been my high school football coach, Coach Buddy Harding. And he came to Clarendon when I was in 10th grade. And we had, some of us were hanging out around the pool hall. And he came in one day and made a deal with us. He said, I'll play you guys in a game of pool. If I win, you don't ever come back in here. If you beat me, you come back when you want to. Well, he beat us. So we never went back in there. And then, of course, when I came here, Coach Auburn Smith, super guy, really super. And I guess those two folks.
How have you seen teacher salaries change throughout the year?
Teacher salaries have gone up, but so has the cost of living.
Right.
But I think that we are making, have been making over the past few years, a salary that teachers can make a living on. The first year I taught, I made $3,700 a year, not a month, no, a year, and had to have summer work, you know, married and a kid with a child, and it's been tough, but it has gotten better, and I think it's going to get better.
I know that you have to consider a lot of things whenever you choose a field that you're going to go into, and money is one of them, but what's another thing that you would have to consider when you went into a field?
I think you have to choose those things that make you happy. I don't care what it is, how much money you make or don't make. Whether or not you are happy doing what you're doing. And in my case, I saw teaching as helping other people. serving other people. And that might have been a commission that the Lord had given me to do. At that time, I didn't realize it, but I think maybe it was, to help others. I know I had a guy come in my office not too long ago that back in 1960, between 60 and 64, when he was in junior high school, he came by and I recognized him and I asked him what he was doing, and he said he was in this area and he just wanted to come by and thank me for what I had done for him. I don't have a clue what I did for him, but I took him out to lunch. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think makes a good teacher?
Love of kids. A good teacher, in my opinion, has to follow the role model of Jesus Christ. Jesus loved people, number one. Teachers have to love people. He saw each individual as being valuable and worthwhile. He saw them as being capable of moving from where they were up here to somewhere else that they could be. He taught them by using things that they were familiar with, but they had to think and be problem solvers to move from this simple concept into a far greater concept. And he didn't care, Jew, Gentile, Samaritan. He did not see race. He did not see color. He saw people with needs. And I think if every teacher could have a philosophy like that, it'd be super.
That's great. Do you think that it's hard sometimes to keep separate your favorite students from the ones that don't try that hard?
Well, in my classes, if I have a student that way, I try to find out why that student is not trying. I want to get some background information on that student. I want to know where they're coming from initially. I want to know the type of high school background that they've had. I want to know what they made on that ACT test score, things like that, where they are. And then you cannot motivate and stimulate every student exactly the same way. I've got to find out what makes that student want to go, want to do something.
What do you think is the reason for more violence in schools these days?
Breakdown in family values. That's it. Breakdown in family values. We've taken God out of the public schools. We've taken God out of the homes. We've taken prayer out. We've taken Bible readings out. We have so many single parents today that live on a poverty level. And we have families where both parents are working and they don't have time for the kids or their activities. And I think the real problem is in the family breakdown.
What can schools do to help the family, do you think? Should they offer more support, more daycare type services, or do you think that
No, now the school's become a babysitter. No, the problem goes back to the home, right back to the home. Too many people make poor decisions on marriage relationships, and they bring children into the world, and those kids many times are just kind of left on their own to make their own decision. They're latchkey children, educated by electronic boxes, and my grandbabies, they know their ABCs. They also know CBS, HBO, facts, all those neat things. The problem is breakdown in families. A lot of problems in the United States is breakdown in families. That's it. That's it.
So do you think that's one of the reasons that we're having so many school shootings now, like what happened at Columbine?
Sure.
And everything?
Now, according to TV, the parents had evidence right there at home. Well, they either didn't walk into those rooms or they never sit down and spoke or talked to that child. That's breakdown in family relationship. Children today spend more time watching TV than they do talking to their parents, reading a book. The only activity that exceeds watching TV for them is sleeping. Parents just aren't there. When they are there, they're too tired. They got other things to do. Kids get out of the way, go watch TV.
There's always new theories I'm reading about on learning and on education, and how has it changed over the years? The one thing that comes to my mind is now you can't spank students, you have to give them a timeout, but
Well, corporal punishing is a legal act. Some schools do not allow this. Other schools do, and you have to do it in the presence of the witness. I don't think that corporal punishment is the answer. There are a lot of different ways you can discipline people. I like discipline with dignity as one method. But again, we're going to go back to the breakdown in the home. Now, hey, when I was a kid growing up and I got in trouble at school, I had a problem when I got home. There wasn't any questions asked. There wasn't any committee meetings. Boy, you in trouble. You go to school, you can get it again right here at the house because the teacher was the authority. But that's not true today. Mm-hmm. And again, that's breakdown family.
I know that a lot of teaching ways have changed and punishment things have changed, but how has SAU and the city of Magnolia changed since you have been here?
SAU, just the
Just as the
facilities
school,
and so forth?
Right.
We have grown tremendously at the institution here. Outwardly, we see a lot of new buildings, a lot of new facilities. Things are a lot different. In fact, my office is located in the dorm that I lived in. It was an athletic dorm at that time. And it's a beautiful campus, beautiful campus. And our enrollment keeps going up every year, which is super. Now, where they're coming from, I don't know, except that Mr. Whittaker is doing a super job recruiting. And the enrollment in the public schools in our area have dropped, but we keep going up. I don't know where they're coming from, but that's super. We have changed from a college to a university. I like the college concept much better. As a university concept, we're divided into schools. And once you divide into schools, and I see each school being concerned about my school and what we're doing in my school, whereas years ago it was a school and it was our school. It's different there. The city of Magnolia has grown. Used to be just a square, and that's about it. You know, now you've got shopping centers up and down the highways, and it's a really neat place to live.
you could have gone anywhere with all the experience that you've had. What made you stay in Magnolia?
Well, I don't know really. I don't know. My wife was born here, and so this is her home. My mother and dad have both died, so I don't have any parents, and I have a sister. I really never wanted to go anywhere else. I've had a good job here. I had no reason to leave, so I've been here.
What are some of the benefits to being a teacher? I know you get your
Just a
summers
classroom
off.
teacher? You're not talking about a coach now. Classroom teachers, I think we have hours that correspond closely to what the public school hours are. And when kids come home, you can be there. College, you don't have 5 classes a day every day. You know, you got a little more time. And as an administrator, I didn't have that time. That's why I kept wanting to get back into the teaching field. And it's a great profession.
Well, whenever you started teaching, what were your dreams of your retirement, and how do they measure up to the reality of your retirement now that you're coming up on it?
Well, the big thing about retirement that I look forward to is I'm not going to be scheduled anymore. I don't have anywhere to go at any certain time. I may get up someday and say, hey, let's go to West Coast. Jump in the van and take off and be gone 3 weeks or whatever, you know, just do what I want to when I want to. I intend to hopefully continue to supervise field experience level 1 in the schools that I have been supervising them in, but that is not a scheduled thing. That's kind of flexible. You can kind of set your own schedule when you're doing that, and this gives me some free time. I call them Grandpa and Grandma. My wife's mom and dad, one of them 6 of them's 83. They're needing some help, and I think I can be available to help more than I have been able to in the past and take some of the work off my wife. Just do what I feel like doing when I get up.
Do you hope to travel anywhere in particular?
Do what?
Do you hope to travel anywhere in particular?
Yes, I do. But I don't want to travel by myself. I want to wait till my wife is retired also, and then she and I travel together. But we hadn't been anywhere. I mean, we hadn't balled to old Neal. That's about it. But we want to go to the West Coast and Northeast and Southeast.
What activities are you involved in presently on campus and off campus?
Well, I am not a person that just joins things to join. Consequently, I'm not involved in many activities. I'm involved basically in my church on Sundays, and the rest of the time that activities I'm involved in is playing with my grandbabies. Got 4 of
I
those.
think that's a good one.
4 of those.
What major changes do you predict in the educational field in the future?
I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to tell you what I think I see happening. I see small schools going down the tube. The cost of education has gotten so high, and the state says you have to offer certain courses, and in some schools, small schools, you have to offer physics. You got 1 student in that class. You have to teach it. That's expensive teaching. And the other thing that I see happening is this new licensure process where people will be licensure K through 4, that's one area. 5 through 8, that's another area. 9 through 12 is another area. Your small schools will not be able to hire a teacher now from K through 6. They got to hire 2 teachers. I don't think they can afford it. I think we're going to see consolidation right and left. And little schools are going to disappear. I see testing becoming a factor, and I don't like this. But teachers are going to be evaluated on what's called performance-based education, which means how are my students performing? The only way they're going to know how they're performing is by test. If your students do well, you're doing well. If they do poor, you're doing poor. And I see teachers teaching test instead of teaching kids. That's 2 big changes.
So do you think that teachers need to start teaching in different ways in the future?
I don't see anything wrong with education the way we are right now. I don't see all these changes. Changes are not always good. You look at America today, we have the strongest economic program in the world. We have the highest technological facilities in the world. We're not doing all that bad, you know. So how are our kids not doing well when we've got a nation that's doing well? The thing that so many people do not realize, like the goals of 2000, we got to be number 1 in math and science. Why? Our kids, all of our kids in the public school, they're all tested. Some schools, some countries, grade 9, they test. Some students go into high school, other students go into vocational school. Then they don't test those vocational students. They only test those kids that went into high school. So they're not testing all their students. And other schools only test about 10%. And you know what percent that is, the top 10. And it looks like we're down in the middle or low. I don't believe that.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an educational experience. I'm Lisa Stegall.
And I'm Dana Thomas.
And this has been another edition of the SAU Report.
The SAU Report is a production of broadcast journalism students in the Department of Theater and Mass Communication at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.